Here's something that's gotten our attention. I want to see if it gets as much of your attention. Let's start with that picture. Remember when President Obama had a town hall meeting and somebody showed up with a gun in a holster that he was later interviewed, and he actually said that the gun was loaded, told that to an interviewer. All right, moments ago, we've got this picture in. Let's flip the shot. This was just about an hour ago. That picture's coming in right now from Phoenix, Arizona. He's actually carrying an assault rifle. He's at an Obama event. That's an AR-15 on his back. And we're being told from our crews there on the ground that he may not have been the only person in the crowd today that was carrying a loaded weapon. We should let you know, by the way, it's important that this is perfectly legal in the state of Arizona because they have an open carry law. Our White House correspondent Ed Henry is in Phoenix. He's been at these rallies. He's been following this one for us today, and he's joining us now to bring us up to date on what's going on. Ed, you know, I'm curious as I look at this story as to whether you saw other people in the audience that may have also been carrying guns the way this fellow was.
I did. I saw at least a couple of weapons, including an AR-15, and it happened just across the street from where I am. And there was a large group of Obama supporters. They were supporting the president on health care, and it was peaceful. You know, there were some protesters across the street shouting things like socialism, etc. Kind of typical stuff you see outside of some of these events these days. And I happened to wade into the pro-Obama side to take some pictures, still photos, and try to interview some people. And all of a sudden I saw this gentleman who was anti-Obama. He was shouting something about socialism with an AR-15 on his back. And it sort of startled me because at first I thought maybe it was some sort of law enforcement officer, and I had forgotten about the open carry law in Arizona just off the top of my head because it's kind of jarring at first to see an assault weapon in the middle of the street.
But just to be clear, I'm going to interrupt you for just a moment. The person you saw that was carrying a weapon, was it the fellow that we're looking at on videotape now, this African-American gentleman with the glasses?
It was not. It was another person. It was not an African-American gentleman. It was another gentleman. And so there was at least two of these weapons here in the crowd. I want to stress that none of these weapons went off. There was never any sort of confrontation. Yeah,
but Secret Service has got to, I'm just thinking Secret Service has got to be looking at this and wondering if this is going to become a trend and whether they're going to have to be prepared for something developing in the future. I mean, have you got a chance to talk to them?
Yeah, well, let me tell you exactly what happened, which is that when I noticed this one person who was different from that photo with an AR-15, I also then noticed several police officers and some Secret Service officials moving closer to this person, not doing anything, not hassling him or anything, but staying very close to him in sort of a semicircle just to make sure that as pro-Obama and anti-Obama people on health care were shouting at each other, again, peacefully, that nothing went out of control. And so, yes, the Secret Service, local law enforcement here on the ground in Phoenix were very much aware of this situation and are very much monitoring this to make sure it doesn't go out of control.
Well, you know, the obvious question here that you and I would have, or anybody at home watching, is, well, what's this guy's motivation? Why would he show up to an event with what may be a loaded assault rifle? I understand he did an interview a little while ago. We've listened to this, and I really couldn't make out what he said, but for the sake of transparency, let's all listen to it together now. Go ahead, Claude, play this if you could. Why are you carrying an AR-15? I can't tell exactly what he said, so we don't know at this point if that guy was protesting against the president or for the president, or maybe trying to make a point because he saw guys on the other side that were carrying weapons. I can't imagine. You don't know the answer to that question either, Ed, at this point, do you?
Well, I know that the person that I saw with an AR-15, different from that person, was definitely against the president's policies. He was shouting things that suggested he certainly did not support the health reform effort or very many other policies of this president. Now, someone affiliated with the Democratic National Committee who was here said that they heard one of these gentlemen say that he was carrying a weapon because he could, that essentially he has the Second Amendment right to do it. There is an open carry law that makes this perfectly legal in the state of Arizona, as you noted at the top. Again, I did not hear that myself. myself, but I want to tell you that that was someone affiliated with the DNC. That's what she overheard.
But here's the point on that, and I'm just having a conversation with you, one that I think is logical that anybody else watching this would have. Just because you can do something, does that mean that you should? And given the fact that it's President Obama that we're talking about right now, and not President Bush or President Clinton or another president in the past, let me ask you this. You've been doing this job for a long time. You've been to a lot of it. Do you remember people showing up at President Bush's rallies with open guns like that, carrying weapons?
They may have, but I have to be honest that I never saw one. And that was what was jarring to me at this event today, was actually seeing an AR-15, which I had never seen myself up close, within a couple of feet. And so now people may have had weapons concealed, or they, outside events, I want to stress, outside Bush events, but I never saw one out in the open, I have to be honest. I never saw that, and that was what was just pretty startling to see.
So that's what leads me to ask then, is this an open display or gesture that is trying to send a signal to Barack Obama about gun rights or about health care or about anything? I'm asking that question rhetorically. I know you don't have an answer to it, but it's something that we obviously will continue to follow as we see this situation.
Absolutely. At future events, as we, this just happened in the middle of this healthcare rally.
Right.
We were not expecting it to happen. In the days ahead, it's something we're going to be watching very closely, obviously, and asking even more questions than we did today, because you're right, it's a hard question to answer, but it's one that deserves an answer, certainly.
You're doing a great job as usual. Ed Henry, thanks so much for getting up to us on that.